Good afternoon, boys and girls, and welcome to episode 177 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise. And looking at the display, I'm thinking I just need to do this for a second because I think the colours are looking slightly... That's a little bit better, isn't it? It feels like it's been a while since I've done this. I think that's because the last video that we had live was an interview, the interview with Geza Schön. So it has been a little while since I've done some review videos, but hopefully we've got 3 back-to-back videos for you today. Of course, if you're watching the recording, this won't mean anything to you, but you can search for the other ones that were done today. And I'm going to go on the tablet to make sure that everything is coming through loud and clear because we need to make a start. And the first comment goes to EcoJock, who says, "Hi, good sir." And then A2Z1 is saying, "Hello from San Francisco. Hi, all. I hope those of you based in Europe and maybe in other parts of the world as well, if that applies to you, remembered to put your clocks forward this morning or maybe last night before you went to bed." And Son is giving a smiley face as well. So we are going to, in a moment, spray this. I think we can still say pretty new from Tom Ford. I know that it's been superseded by another one. There are lots of Tom Ford scents coming out at the moment, but this is still a 2021 release, so it counts as new. EcoJock, by the way, saying hello from Canada. So we need to get going. Now, this one is, most Tom Ford releases from the Private Blend series are very, very expensive. This one is insanely expensive. I think the smallest bottle, which is this bottle, isn't it? It's the 50ml in the UK, is over £200. So we're talking substantial amounts of money. This one I have already smelled, so this isn't, strictly speaking, a sort of proper Love at First scent. I have smelt it before, but I wanted to share it with you because there have been quite a few people who've contacted me to ask me for my thoughts on this one. So let's actually, I should show you the bottle as well, and let's spray it. This is, can you see that? This is Tubereuse Nue from Tom Ford, naked tuberose, I suppose, nude tuberose. Let's have a spray. And how many of you out there have already tried this one? Keep the comments coming, by the way. I see Xenia saying hello from Ukraine. David saying good morning, Mr. P. Joanna is saying hello from London. John Albert's greetings from Vietnam. Gosh. Heinke saying hello from Germany. Lovely shirt. Thank you very much. That's very kind. Let's pop that on there. So, what did I think of this? Well, let's give it a little bit of context, okay? Now, hi Angela, that comment came through. Let's put things in a bit of context. Tuberose, you would have thought, is a very, very Tom Ford flower. Would be a very Tom Ford flower. It's got teeth, it's got claws, it's a diva, it's over the top. It's probably the most over the top white floral, one of the most over the top perfumery ingredients out there. It also happens to be beautiful. It isn't just it isn't just an aggressive beast. And you think that this would fit well with the Tom Ford aesthetic. I felt it's too plasticky, says David. I think we may not be disagreeing. And so along comes not just a tuberose, but a nude tuberose, a naked tuberose. The new tag carries a certain amount of significance for Tom Ford because back in the day when he was the creative director for YSL fragrances and Gucci fragrances, of course that is when he gave us Yves Saint Laurent Nue, the women's scent. Gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful spice and incense composition. If you can get it somewhere in its original form, do consider spending good money on that. In fact, I would say consider spending good money on that rather than this. Not that this is a bad scent by any means, but if you're talking about worth and value, I think Vintage Nue is probably going to be worth more than what you'd spend on this. But where I was going by saying that it's naked, new, you would expect it to either have a very, very overtly sensual quality, maybe actually a no-holds-barred sexual, carnal quality, maybe naked in that sense. So it could be naked either in a sort of sinful sense, or sinful in inverted commas, of course, or in an innocent sense, and that would be an interesting way to interpret tuberose as well, in an innocent way. Certainly the whiteness of the bottle suggests purity, clean lines. So what you get is definitely a tuberose that goes more towards the realms of the pure, the clean, the streamlined, rather than an update of Fracas, or an update of Poison, or an update of Carnal Flower. It's not got that sort of tuberose feel to it. But you could also argue that it doesn't actually have a recognizably tuberose feel to it at all. There's there is a sense that it's a white floral. How does it vary from Nuit de Bakelite? I just saw Ashfaq asking. Well, that is a very recognizable tuberose again, isn't it? And that's, number one, it's really, really gorgeous. I think you like it as well, don't you, Ashfaq? But it is more recognizably like the flower. This is an abstracted tuberose. And the thing that I personally find disappointing about it is that as it approaches its dry down, it displays more and more of a material that Givaudan, I think I'm right in saying that it's a Givaudan material, that Givaudan more and more seem to be wanting to push in so many of their releases, and that is Akigala wood. We've talked about Akigala wood on some other videos here. It's basically a sort of patchouli variant, and so that gives the idea of what this tuberose is like. It's basically a sort of patchouli tuberose, but Akigala wood, to my nose, has got quite a metallic clang to it. I feel from the fragrances that I've smelt so far, the perfumes that I've smelt so far, Akigala wood has been treated most interestingly in Amouage, which Daniela Andrier made for État Libre d'Orange. Because somehow there she actually managed to take that strange, metallic, partly bitter, clanging quality to it, and she made it romantic somehow. She actually managed to make it quite physical, quite carnal, but also quite romantic. In so many other fragrances that I've smelled, and I'm thinking maybe of things like, what was the Diptyque release? Was it Tempo, which I think was another patchouli? Again, heavy on Akigala wood. It just seems to become, for me, rather monodimensional, and I just sort of start to lose interest in it. And again, with this, I think, okay, well, if you want to do a patchouli tuberose, and if you want to make it a more abstract tuberose rather than a more figurative, recognizable one, that's fine. That's an interesting exercise in itself. But I'm not sure there's enough going on here to justify that experiment, for us to call it a successful experiment. And it's not that overtly tuberosy. So if you were reaching for it, hoping for a tuberose, I think you'd be a bit disappointed. What is interesting about it is that if we're talking gender codes, if we're generalizing along gender lines for a moment, this would actually maybe make it quite an interesting masculine aimed tuberose. Now, I've got the briefest of brief blurbs, and then I want to see some of the comments that you've been making on this. When I say it's brief, I really, really mean it's brief, the blurb on this. I haven't got very much at all. Tubereuse Nue, it says, conjures the fresh petals of night-blooming tuberose and jasmine as they sway in the moonlight, exuding extravagant sensuality. Well, no, it's not extravagant. I think that's the point. I think the brand seems to think that it is, but it isn't. It's a bit too clean for that, and also maybe a bit too saline for that. Rising to a rhapsody of unparalleled pleasure, spiced Akigala wood and timid pepper add an illicit potency to this mythical dance. A soft, sensual blanket of musk, of course, captures the erotic afterglow. Yeah, see, it's not. This is not an afterglow sensual experience for me. Promising the mood and the longing endures. If you say so, Tom. I'd be curious to know which perfumer made it. I'm pretty sure it must be Givaudan. Let's look at comments, though. So, big fan of Freddie Mal's Carnal Flower, says Arthur Scargill. Hello from Lithuania and Singapore. Is it a big scent, says Angela. Well, it's not a wallflower. I think it kind of does clean in a big way, if you see what I mean. So it's loudly clean, if that's possible. Gavin's saying that's the ingredient in Pepper by Comme des Garçons, wasn't it? Akigala wood. Possibly, as in, do you mean black pepper? If it isn't black pepper, then that's another perfume where it's used wonderfully, because I think that's a superb scent. What do you think of Moon Bloom from Hiram Green? I'm pretty sure that's reviewed on the blog. I adore Nuidia Bakelit, says Ashfaq. Such a gorgeous tuberose composition with vernal heft. Yes, this isn't, this is something completely different. Tom Ford Fougère d'Argent has Akigala wood, says Andre. Nothing metallic in this one. Yeah, again, maybe it's in a sort of smaller dosage. Miguel says, I didn't like it at all. It has a very synthetic smell to it, in my opinion. Joao says, similar to La Chasse aux Papillons by L'Artisan. No. Chasse aux Papillons is more girlishly floral, if I can continue generalizing along gender lines. And Ashfaq is going, ew, Akigala again. Considering the price, you'd wonder it has a decent amount of real tuberose in it, but from your assessment, it seems it is meh at best. Keith is saying a bit late to the party. I hope I didn't miss too much. Angela, maybe it's the carnal experience with a sex doll. What, because of the plastic? No. Well, possibly. This is why I miss these. You always put a smile on my face with your comments, because you just never know where these conversations are going to go. So yes, Tom Ford Tubereuse Nue, the sex doll perfume. Latex tuberose. Actually, that would be an interesting perfume, though, wouldn't it? I would smell a latex tuberose, because tuberose itself very definitely heads into that kind of territory. So I think if it had been renamed and if it had been given a different sort of concept, call it like Syntherose or something, and just go all out with the fact that it is quite synthetic, or play around with this idea maybe of latex and tuberose. That might have been more interesting, but I'm not sure it fulfills its intention. Okay, so enough about Tom. We are going to be coming back in a few moments with one that I genuinely haven't smelt before, new from Diptyque, and then after that, 3 new ones from, well, I won't tell you yet, but from a brand that you will all know. See you in a bit. Bye.